All right, let's look at adding and subtracting integers. This is one of my favorite ways of learning adding and subtracting integers by thinking about each problem as a scoreboard problem. So we all know how a scoreboard works, right? The team that has the most points wins, and we're going to use that idea to learn about adding and subtracting integers. So let's set up, well, the first one's done for us, so let's look and see how it is set up. So if we have the problem -4 plus 6, we can see that there are 4 negatives and there are 6 positives. So the team that wins is the positive team because the positive team has more points. And the positive team has 2 more points than the negative team. So we will say that the positive team wins by 2, which means the answer is 2. Positive 2, because the positive team won. All right, so we're going to do a lot of circling here. So here's a positive 12. So that means that the positive team has 12. And the negative team has 21. How do we know? Because there's a negative in front of the 21. So the negative team got 21 points, which means that the negative team is going to win because they have more points than the positive team. So the negative team is winning by 9 points. And since the negative team is winning by 9 points, the answer is -9. Let's look at that third example. We have 8 points for the negative team and then 20 more points for the negative team. The positive team, in fact, didn't score any points because there isn't a number in that problem that doesn't have a negative in front of it. One thing you've got to get in the habit of is when you're deciding if a number is positive or negative, you always include the symbol right before the number. Even if you're thinking like, I thought that was a subtraction sign. Now she's saying it's a negative sign. Subtraction, negative, minus, opposite, all of those are the same thing. That negative or subtraction symbol or minus sign belongs with the number that it's in front of and stays with it. All right, so since the positive team didn't score any points at all, it's the negative team that's winning, and they got all of the points. The negative team won by 28 points, so the answer is -28. So the next problem, example 1 here, we have 21 negatives, so the negative team gets 21 points. And then we have 34 positives, so the positive team gets 34 points, which means the positive team is going to win by 13. So the answer is going to be +13, because you can also think of it this way. We have 34 positives and 21 negatives, so we have 13 more positives than negatives. And if we have more positives, the answer is positive. In the next problem, we don't have any positives again. We have 21 negatives and 8 more negatives. So altogether, the negative team is going to win by 29 points because we have all negative points. In the next problem, I have 13 negatives and I have 25 positives. I'm keeping like the positives and negatives different colors, doing red for negative and blue for positive just to keep it organized. So we have 25 points for the positive team and 13 points for the negative team. We have 12 more positive points than negative points. All right, here's something we haven't seen yet, a double negative. If we're taking away a negative number, let's think about that. What does taking away a negative mean in real life? In real life, if you take away something negative, that's actually positive, right? If you take away a sickness, that's positive. If you take away the mean friend in your friend group, that's a positive. If you take away a headache, that's a positive. If the bad guy goes to jail, that's a positive, right? If you take away something that's negative, you'll always get a positive. So in math, it's the same thing. Whenever you see taking away a negative, you're going to change that to adding a positive. So it's going to become 80 plus 12. So in a problem like this, you probably wouldn't even need to use the scoreboard because you know what 80 plus 12 is. But just to reinforce it here, we have 80 positives plus 12 more positives. So we have 92 total positive points and no negatives. In the next example, I've got 21 positives and 51 negatives. So who wins? The negatives. By how much? 30. So it's negative 30. We have 30 more negatives than positives. In example 6, we have 13 points for the negative team, and we have 13 points for the positive team. What happens when it's a tie? When it's a tie, the answer is 0. Nobody won. There aren't more positives or more negatives. In this last example, I have a double negative here that I want to change to a positive. So let me just rewrite this problem. Negative 15 plus positive 8, because taking away a negative is always positive, plus 6. So let's fill in our scoreboard. I have 15 negatives, and then I have 2 positives. I have 8 points here for the positives and 6 points here for the positives, for a total of 14. So if I have 14 positives and 15 negatives, then the negative team wins by 1 point. Thanks for watching.